Thank you, Chairwoman Feinstein and Ranking Member Kennedy, and I certainly want to thank our witnesses today. We truly appreciate you being here, and as we discuss the 2023 budget for the Corps and the Bureau of Reclamation. Secretary Connor, I just really appreciate the time that you spent in traveling to Vicksburg, Mississippi in February for a briefing on the Yazoo area pump project. That is a really important project to me. It is one of my very top priorities because I have seen the suffering that has happened in Mississippi. But today I'd like to discuss environmental justice, a topic this administration says is a top priority as well. As you know, the comprehensive Yazoo Backwater Area project is a congressionally authorized Corps project designed to provide flood protection to thousands of residents in the South Mississippi Delta, most of whom are African Americans. I have visited this place many, many times, and I don't live far from it. The Yazoo Backwater Area comprises of 1,446 square miles, 6 Mississippi counties. These are some of the most rural, underserved counties in the entire United States. This project consists of 3 components designed to be used in tandem, including levees to keep Mississippi and Yazoo River floodwaters out, floodgates to let accumulated interior floodwater out, and pumping stations to remove floodwaters trapped on the protected side of the levee system when the floodgates have to be closed because the Mississippi River is high and excess rainfall occurs. All of these features have been completed except for the pumps. Unfortunately, the EPA in 2008 stopped the Corps from completing the pumps, the project's last remaining feature. Since that EPA veto in 2008, the area has experienced catastrophic flooding nearly every year, causing billions with a B in damages and destroying lives, home, property, wildlife habitat, and the environment. In 2019, the Yazoo Backwater Area, which is more than 11 times the size of Washington, D.C., remained flooded for well over 6 months. It was underwater. It was disastrous on the quality of life for the people who live and work there, many who are already impoverished. 2 people lost their lives. During the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, there was another terrible flood. It again displaced residents and forced them into crowded shelters or to move in with family, neither option ideal during an unprecedented pandemic. Recognizing that this perpetual flooding was simply not sustainable for the people or the environment, and armed with the new scientific information, the Corps issued a new proposed plan for the pumps in December of 2020. Unfortunately, the EPA last November put the brakes on the Corps from moving forward yet again. It simply dismissed years of new Corps environmental studies and thousands of pages of scientific information that fully justifies the pumps. We often hear we need to listen to the science. Well, what does the science say? The science says the Corps' new proposed plan would not convert any wetlands to non-wetlands. The science says the project would benefit all sections of the economy and contribute to the well-being of all area residents. The science says the project would benefit wetlands, aquatic species, wildlife and wildlife habitat, and every important resource that flooding has been destroying for decades. But here's the real irony. The current administration has placed environmental justice at the top of its priority list. The Yazoo Backwater Area population is nearly 70% minority, with roughly 30% living in poverty. The Corps' Environmental Justice Appendix indicates that the pumps would significantly benefit low-income and minority populations, and it shows that more than 90% of the homes would be devastated from a 100-year flood event or minority occupied. Secretary Connor, please, there's 2 things, and I want you to thoroughly answer both of these for me, if you would. Please share your thoughts on the environmental justice benefits associated with the Yazoo Backwater project And do you consider the Corps' new proposed plan to be consistent with this administration's emphasis on promoting environmental justice?
Senator Hyde-Smith, I wish I would have started with your statement when I got into Yazoo, because it took me a while to get up to speed the way you just articulated it. It's a very complex system. I'll get exactly to your points, because I don't think it's ironic that this administration focuses on environmental justice and how we've dealt with the Yazoo Basin, or how we're going to deal. Let me put it that way, because yes, we cannot move forward with the project that the Corps most recently proposed because of the reinstitution of the veto. That is correct, and that's concerning, because we've got to get to some project to address the uncompleted project, as you mentioned. And we are getting the attention that we need at a very high level to move forward. A interagency group chaired by CEQ Chair Brenda Mallory. She's convened us together, and when I went down to Yazoo in February, it was with Chair Mallory to get a firsthand account, and you cannot understand this system without that firsthand account, and because of the complexity of it. So we need to address the intended project as it was originally conceived, and you're right, it's missing that last phase of the project. So we've got to deal with that backwater flooding. We've got to figure out the mix of structural and non-structural. And when I say structural, I think pumps are still in the mix for the discussion that we're going to have in this interagency group. There is questions about the science from some of the other agencies. The Corps feels very strongly that it's got peer-reviewed science, but we need to have that dialogue about what exactly are the impacts to wetlands. Are we reducing the wetland function? Those are going to be some detailed conversations, but I can assure you this is part of the environmental justice agenda to get to a project, to get to a solution, because of the factors that you mentioned with respect to minority residents in that area, as well as the poverty level that exists in that area. So that's why it's getting this attention. And I just want to note, I appreciate the fact, being part of this group, that there is a sense of urgency that we need to get to a reconfigured project. And so I share your views, the importance, and I will keep you posted as that interagency group continues to work on that reconfigured project.
Please do so. And General Spellman, give me your knowledge of civil engineering. Please share your thoughts on how practical, if even possible, it would be to provide meaningful flood protection in the Yazoo Backwater Area without a pumping station. How would that be possible?
So, Senator, as you know, this pump station was part of the project since it was initially authorized in the 1941 Flood Control Act. We've looked at 34 options to how to evacuate water from that basin, and our recommendation, we're certainly open to any other ideas that may be out there. But we're confident in our science, we're confident in our engineering that the pump station can be operated in a manner that protects these communities that you mentioned, but also protects the 38,000 acres of wetland that are in that area. So we're confident of that. The other 34 options, we looked at everything from looking at ring levees around every home. We just could not economically justify that. We've looked at elevating homes. We looked at buyouts. We looked at elevating roads. And again, not all of that, after we got through that analysis, was consistent with our longstanding environmental operating principles. And some of it, frankly, we just could not get to economic justification. We stand by our recommendation, but again, we're open to any other ideas that may be out there.
I appreciate your answer very much, both of you, and I know I'm over time. Thank you.